Hello, my name's Martin, welcome back to another video. Now you got to admit, that train that you just saw then was pretty awe-inspiring. Even if you're not into trains, that was pretty good. That was a Class 50, it's called Valiant, and it was built back when British engineering was at its best. It was built by English Electric at Vulcan Foundry in Newton-le-Willows. I was at the East Lancs Railway a few days ago and I filmed some of the diesel engines there, and I've decided to sneak in a little sneaky train video, so please forgive me. But interesting story coming up, so stay tuned, and before you get too bored, here's some more trains. That was a Class 25, little rasping garden shed on wheels. So what's the interesting story? Well, I went to the East Lancs to see a Class 56 because they had one there on exhibit. And let me take you back to the early 70s, British Rail, early 70s. They had these locomotives that were pulling freight trains, coal trains, and these coal trains went from the colliery to feed the power stations, the old coal-fired power stations, and that's all they did all day long: colliery, power station, colliery, power station, and they just went round like that. They were called merry-go-round trains. Early 70s, British Rail have got this sort of ageing fleet. Well, it's about 10-15 years old by now, and in some instances they were having to couple two locomotives together just to pull the sort of like the coal trains because they were so underpowered. So they designed a new freight locomotive, the Class 56. British Rail Engineering at the time were too busy to build it, so they outsourced it to Romania, to a firm called Electroputer, I think that's the way you say it, in Romania. Now, don't forget, this was Ceausescu's Romania, this is communist Romania. The first 30 were to be built in Romania, and then the remainder, by then, I think they built 100 and odd altogether. After number 30, the rest of them will be built in Britain, but it would give British Rail Engineering a head start to get the first 30 built in Romania. Imagine the excitement. 1976, the first Class 56 comes over on the ferry, gets offloaded at the docks at Hull and gets dragged up to Tinsley Depot in Sheffield to go through substantial testing, ready to go on these coal trains. No, they basically had to strip the locomotive down and rebuild it. Basically, the Romanians had thrown it together. Poor build quality, substandard materials, substandard wiring. Now, they've been tested in Romania, and what was kind of acceptable for the communist Romanians at the time, I'm not having to go at Romanians here, just at the time, the culture, the communism. What was acceptable for the communist Romanians was not acceptable for British Rail Engineering, and they basically had to strip them down and almost rebuild them. And I often wonder if British Rail ever got any recompense for that, for you know, all of the cost that would have been incurred. But just an interesting story, because it reminds me of sort of like Lada cars as well. Do you remember Ladas back in the early 90s? I think I had a friend that had one and used to defend it to the hilt, but they were proper poorly built cars. And East Germany had the Trabant, didn't they? The Trabant car, that was sort of like thrown together for the people. But yeah, just an interesting story that the Class 56 is like, you know, had to be brought over and rebuilt completely. But I used to love British Rail, love the locomotives, and spent many happy hour train spotting. Anyway, here's some more trains, and when I was there I took some pictures as well, so I'll throw in a few pictures as well.